We're live again. This is going to be a late night red light special. um, I usually don't do live streams this late, but still a little bit energetic from doing a late night run. Got it in pretty good. No diddy. and usually I like to do a live stream on Sundays. It's pretty chill, laid back. It's already late night, so it's already chill and laid back. It's technically Monday. So this is Ask Me Anything Sundays. So no topic. We can shoot the breeze about anything. All right. As long as it's appropriate, of course. And trolls will be banned. So be mindful of that. No trolls. But otherwise, you can ask me any random questions. This is a late night red light special for me. um, so this is Ask Me Anything Sundays. Well, technically Monday, but this is branching off from our usual Sunday format. Well, shaking bottles, welcome back. But as long as you can control yourself, I'm fine with that. If you can't, my poor Griffin shattered it. Guys, one of my little Griffins here is gone through so much abuse, bringing it from the Philippines to here. I should have left it in the Philippines with a lot of my other stuff. Very fragile. May be made of poly resin, I'm guessing. What's up, CJ? Hawkeye. Don't get the joke since Hawkeye is not black. So, unless you actually asking me about the MCU character, in that case, yes, he did. As far as I know, Clint Barton retired. If you got to watch the Hawkeye Christmas special that was on Disney Plus 2 years ago. Just like in the comics, there was a younger version that took over for him. And this all happens in the Marvel reboot called the All New, All Different Marvel. Just like in 2011, DC Comics rebooted their whole multiverse for new readers to come in, and it was very successful. But most people hated the storylines in the New 52, except for Batman. That was Most people loved that, but the New 52 initially was a success, but then people grew to hate the storylines. So Marvel a year later did the same thing, copying off of DC as they usually do, and did a whole reboot of their multiverse called the All New, All Different Marvel. And this is when the Young Avengers came out, and they were to replace all the legacy characters. So most people, for the most part, hated all the characters came out under All New, All Different Marvel, except for Miles Morales. He's one of the most beloved new characters to come out of that era. But in that excuse me, in that reboot, Hawkeye, like a lot of other legacy characters, were replaced by younger versions of themselves, and there was a female character who came to replace him in that series, and they showed her in the Hawkeye special on Disney Plus 2 years ago. When's the last time I went to the range? Too long, CJ. Too long, to be honest. I need to go back. Plus, I want to do what some people suggested to me. Sorry, I gotta get some water, guys. I just did a run, so that's why I'm a little parched. But yeah, it's been a while since I've been to the range, and like some people suggested to me, I should try a bunch of the guns they have at the range to see what I might like the best. I've already decided as far as my bug out bag, I'm gonna just keep a Glock 19 for that. As far as my own personal collection, I want to try out different handguns and see what I like. I like the Sig Sauer, P320 and stuff like that. I forget which version has become the official sidearm of the Army. I can't remember, it was the P365 or the P320, something like that. Looks nice. It replaced the old sidearm of the Army, which was the believe the Beretta M9. So a lot of people still love the Beretta M9 who are like the old folks in the army now. um, so yeah, once I move back overseas, I'm gonna build up my collection, but I want to get back to the range and start firing off rounds. And I know my friend, he wants to fire rounds because he said he has so much ammunition he's bought that he needs to use some of it. So outside of going on a rampage, I think we should go to the range and pop off some rounds. Um, Noah says Superman sucks. ASS. I mean, hey, that's your opinion, but you're wrong. Superman, Superman gets a lot of flack, Noah, and I understand. Look, Superman is not everyone's cup of tea, but he is not just a superhero; he is the superhero. And mind you, he's not even my favorite superhero. My favorite is Batman, but I still like Superman a lot. He is the superhero. A lot of people don't like his Boy Scout image, which is why Zack Snyder tried to make him more emo and edgy, which failed colossally. Um, but I like Superman. Like, there's parallels to him and obviously Moses, since um, his creators, like a lot of early comic book creators, were Jewish and put a lot of uh, biblical homilies into the early comic book superheroes, which is why they have a quasi religious feel to them. Whether you're talking about Batman, who were created by Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster, I believe, who are both like poor Jewish kids from Ohio. Um, Batman, which was created by Bob Kane and my and what's the other guy? The guy who really created him. Bob Kane took way too much leeway with saying he was the creator. He created the concept, but the other guy created everything we know about Batman. But in any case, both Jewish comic book creators. Stan Lee. Stan Lee is actually a shortened form of Stan Lee's actual names. Um, and of course, like Joel Simon and Jack Kirby, who created Captain America. Uh, the guy who created the Flash, I can't remember his name. So all these early comic book creators, the superheroes they made during the Golden Age and in the Silver Age, a lot of them have biblical homilies to them. You can see that with Superman, Batman, a lot of the others. And Superman is a great superhero. So I'm just saying. Uh, Personally, I like the Hulk versus Gambit. But how would the Hulk? Has there been a? Has there been? So I don't know. I'm not as entrenched in all the classic Marvel stories, maybe as you are. But did the Hulk fight Gambit? I mean, I'm pretty sure the Hulk has fought almost everyone in Marvel at some point, but I've never heard of him fighting Gambit. Plus, I don't know how that would go. A random channel says, "Yo, I am imperfection perfected. I went yesterday. You said you went to the range yesterday. I'm perfected. Where did you go?" Nolan Northcott says, "This is dope." CJ Jones says, "I go to the desert. I hate indoor ranges." Yeah, I remember we talked. I remember we talked about that like a week or two ago. You said you go to the desert, and I brought up the clown on that old Doomsday Prepper episode on Nat Geo, who went out to the desert to fire off rounds with his sons to teach them like some survivalism skills, but his dumbass calling himself a prepper and survivalist put his thumb in front of the rifle barrel. That didn't go well. He fainted on camera. It was hilarious. Like that wasn't faked for like the TV show. That that actually happened. But firing off rounds in the desert could be cool. I don't like the heat personally. The heat is my kryptonite. Rusty Shackelford said you should switch your CCW to a Thompson Center Encore. I'm not familiar. CJ Johnson says a P320 equals an M17. That's oh, so that's the Army classification now. They're calling it the M17. Okay. So he said our range is outside. So I haven't done an outside range since the Army, guys. Like every range I've been to since I left the Army has been an indoor range. Matter of fact, the last time I shot in a range in the Army was actually, I believe, an indoor range. It was like one of those more high tech. It still had like the it still had like the pop up targets like Fast Freddy and all of those sort of things, but it was indoors. I didn't like that as much, to be honest. I did prefer the outdoor range, but it's useful because in a combat environment you might end up being in an urban environment. So being able to practice both indoors and outdoors is probably good for first, for versatility and using your weapons in all different sorts of environments, right? No, it's the P320 and it's called the M18. Okay, so so someone said M17, the other one said M18. I don't know which is which, but at least I was right that it is the P3, the 6 hour P320. It looks pretty cool. When they did that contest back in, I think it was like 2018, for which sidearm would win out. Um, the Glock, I think the Glock had almost won, but the 6 hour had more features that the Army wanted for their sidearm that Glock refused to fix on their guns to win the contract. So 6 hour won the contract for their handgun. Oh well. But I mean, the Glock 19 is still like a favorite amongst law enforcement. Although I hear a lot of law enforcement are starting to switch out of the Glock 19 as well. Who used to hey Florida wall. I really don't get it. If this is something common to Florida, you'll have to fill me in. I don't know, but this is just a very basic curtain here. Noah Jaron says, but it's the Marines. No, this was the Army that this happened. The Marines often, and this is no diss to the Marines because a lot of them are my homeboys, but yeah, the Marines often get the Army hand-me-downs. But no, the Army was the one who held the contest for all the different um, arms makers to for a contract for a new sidearm because they wanted to. It was time for them to DX the Beretta. BR72 says we are live from PTSD HQ. I show you have no PTSD. And talking about firearms is not tantamount to PTSD. You obviously don't understand that mental disorder. Kind of funny though, so I'm cool with it. But I have no PTSD. I didn't flip out on. I'm not going to flip out on July the 4th or anything like that. CJ Johnson says, yeah, M17 or 18, short slide versus long slide. Okay, so they have both, and that's the difference. That's what you're saying, I think. Um, Rusty says, Encore or Contender, best concealed carry guns ever made. Okay, so those are the guns. At first, I was confused. I wasn't sure whether you were talking about the holster or whether you were talking about the weapon. So you're saying that's the best gun for concealed carry. Okay, I'll look into it. I know that I can easily in Maryland acquire my both my HQL to purchase a, a handgun and a CCW because I'm prior service. But I just haven't. The only reason I haven't is because I haven't anticipated staying here that long, and I don't know what the rules are overseas where I'm going about. I don't even think they have concealed carry where I'm going in Asia, so I'll have to ask my wife to ask one of my in-laws who works in police over there. Jaron says Rampage. Well, Alvin says Superman wears fuzzy socks inside his boots. Hey, if he does, if that makes him more comfortable, are you going to tell him? You going to tell him that's not cool? I mean, the man. Do you know this man can sneeze? Like, depending on what power level we're talking about, what Superman we're talking about, whether we're talking about pre 52 Superman, because people like to make these distinctions in power levels of Superman. Like people like to say pretty much pre 52 Superman is very OP. So any character who can fight pre 52 Superman to a standstill is considered pretty powerful. Like He-Man. He-Man once in a canon, I think it was canon. Well, it's not now, but I think when that comic first came out, it was considered canon. He-Man and Superman had a crossover, and they fought each other to a standstill, and then they went after the real bad guys after they couldn't defeat each other, which was Skeletor and all of that. But that shows that He-Man is as powerful as Superman. So, but anyway, um, the things he can do, like he can literally hold the earth, like like Atlas. Like you heard, like Atlas shrugged which Ayn Rand abused that term, which meant like Atlas was a titan who literally held the skies above. Superman can do that. I mean, he can fly through sun. He can fly through stars. I think he once was able. He could sneeze so powerfully, like he could destroy a solar system. Like if a guy is that powerful, he can wear fuzzy socks as much as he wants. I don't care. Like I'm not gonna tease someone who can. And the funny thing, and that's another funny thing. Sorry to go on a rant. People do not. People don't take Superman seriously because he's such a jolly character. Like that's why Batman respects him because he knows literally how deadly that man could be if he ever went rogue, which is why he keeps a sliver of green kryptonite in his utility belt in case Superman ever goes rogue. Of course, Superman actually gave in the comics though. Superman actually gave him that green kryptonite. He didn't like make a synthetic form secretly out that Superman didn't know about. He made it was given to him by Superman in case he's either you know under the influence of magic or uh, I think what red kryptonite or whatever, or something else, or he just loses his mind, like to put him down. Batman respects how badass Superman really is, but just holds back. So, like I said, people don't take him seriously because he's so friendly, and maybe he does wear fuzzy socks. I know he likes a little sprinkle of cinnamon in his coffee, so people think he's soft. But when you're the most powerful man on the earth, you don't have to act tough, which is what I try to tell people when they talk about, me or other people who are like veterans or do combat sports and they expect us to look tough. I'm like, we don't have to look tough because we are tough. Like, so it's sort of the same thing. Talk softly, but walk with a big stick. How was it acting in Police Academy? All right, chill, bro. And that guy's cool though. Superman's boring as hell. Yeah, so that's the problem. I get that, Noah. Like a lot of the storylines are boring, but there are some good ones. um, Here's a few good ones. Read All Star Superman. That's a good one. Man of Tomorrow. That's a good one. Kingdom Come. That's a good one. Red Sun is an Elseworld story where it shows it's if Superman instead of landing here in America in Kansas, what if he landed in the Soviet Union during during the Cold War? It's a really good Elseworld story. That's a good Superman story, and I have and there's a Superman and Batman one. There's a couple of them I have here. Part one is called Public Enemies when they're chased down by pretty much all the superheroes in DC under the under the guidance of Lex Luthor when he becomes president. And part two of that is Supergirl. This was when they decided to bring Supergirl back into the canon universe again because she had been written off for a long time. So they brought Supergirl back into the canon universe is really good. When she's under the influence of Darkseid and all this other stuff, she gets training from Princess Diana, from Wonder Woman and Themyscira. Like they take her to Themyscira to train her to know how to use her skills. So she's badass, but she gets taken by Darkseid and all this. And so they go, I'm telling you the whole storyline, but still, you should still go read it. They actually go, to meet Darkseid on his planet on what's the name of the planet? Apocalypse or whatever. Um, and Batman actually threatens threatens Darkseid, and he's like, "What are you? You're just a mortal. You're gonna threaten a god?" He was like, "Check this out." He said, if you don't give Supergirl back, I will blow me, them, you, and this entire fucking planet up." And Darkseid looked at him. He was like, "Oh, you're not bluffing." He said, "I admire that." He said, "You really mean what you say." He said, "I respect that. All right, you can have her back." But then he reneges and go back to Earth to try to kidnap Supergirl, and Superman beats the brakes out of him. He beats him so badly. He beats him to the source wall. If you don't know DC canon that well, the source wall is like the very border of the multiverse itself for like humans, mortals, whatever. No one can no one can get past the source wall. He beats him all the way to the source wall and leaves him there. That's how he beats a god. And the new gods are stronger than the old gods, by the way. So he beats. That's how badly Superman beats him when he threatens to kidnap his little cousin. So some of a lot of those Superman storylines are whack, but there are some good ones. Like I said, Superman, Batman, Public Enemy, Superman, Batman, Supergirl, Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Superman, All Star Superman, Kingdom Come, which is like them in the future. Um, and there's another good one. If you like Clark Kent, I mean, if you like the old 70s, 80s Superman, Superman's Secret Origin is really good. Like the artist draws Superman to look like Christopher Reeve. So, and it's really good. So that's a good one. And there's some other good storylines too, but those are the main ones. And also the Elseworld story, Red Sun. Um, Riley is back. What's up, Riley? RIP Kobe says, "Can I be a mod?" I don't have enough. There's not enough traffic for me to appoint any moderators just yet. Once I'm monetized and these streams become super chats, then I might need a moderator. Asperger's or asparagus? What? Um, I don't get what you're saying, Uyu, but if you can't control yourself, I might have to time you out, my friend. Like I said, I don't mind jokes, but they are only funny to you. We don't get what you're saying unless you're referring to someone else in the comments. Noah said Gambit won. I mean, I would say that's Fugazi, but there's been a crossover with DC and Marvel, and Batman beat the Hulk. Now, are you gonna say that's BS and that's just plot armor, blah blah blah? But they took the Marvel writers and the DC writers, and for each battle, like they had pick who's going to win what. Batman won bit by basically outsmarting the Hulk. So um, that's basically it. But I can see Gambit winning. Like I said, if Batman won, I'm not going to. If Batman won against the Hulk, I'm not going to begrudge Gambit for doing so as well. We all know in the long run, Hulk would always win. So. Nuke says, "I want to see Gambit and the Magneto mutant advancement machine." I'm not sure what the mutant advancement machine is. By the way, I predict for for those who watch X-Men 97, I predict the Gambit is going to be back as one of the Apocalypse's horsemen, 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse. I think he's going to be one of them. I think he's going to return next season as one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse. That's my prediction. Since they, if you saw the the last scene from the the season finale, Janiyah Lomax says, "How old are you?" In my 40s. I get that. I literally get that asked every stream. No, said he hit him with the red card and slowed him down. The red card. So does some of his cards have different powers, power base? Because I always thought the powers were based on how much energy he projected into the objects that he threw at people. I didn't think it had anything to do with the objects themselves. I thought the power came from himself, like the way he took down one of the one of the what's the robots called? He took out one of them when he died in X-Men 97, and he just had to, instead of him, that was the first time they ever showed him like using his full like capabilities. Like instead of him throwing the object powered with his power, and he did it to himself, and it was it was pretty dope. Look at the videos of Mexican army. Um, I didn't know there were videos of it, but I don't know why I should. Where does my hairline start? Hoover's is Sigs or shit. I don't have a favorite, so that's why Hoover. I say I need to go back to the range and do like some people suggested and just fire off using different pistols to see what would be my preference. I haven't really heard anyone complain about SIGs though. And you're like probably the first one I heard complain about SIGs. I hear people always complain about Glock 19s. Like some of them talk about how they can misfire. Some people complain that it doesn't have a safety on it, like an external safety. Um, and some people don't like the way you have to hold it to shoot them. So those are the things I've heard about the Glock. I haven't heard anything with people complaining about SIGs though so far. Oh, by the way, in case y'all didn't know, Mrs. Contrarian is moderating, so I may catch some of the slick stuff that people say, but she's gonna catch it just to let you know. 19 Glock 19X for the win. Yes, I hear a lot of people say talk well about the 19X. Do you Hoover? Do you think that's the best version of the Glock 19? That the X, like it would be a good piece, but it wouldn't be something that I could use for a concealed carry, obviously. Because I mean, for my backpack, I'm not worried about a concealed carry weapon, but I do want something that would be good for an appendix carry holster eventually. Juice Dope is back. He's in BBL jersey. You still on that, man? We know the guy lost. Let's let it go. We know he lost. Zed said, "What's up, man? What's up, Zed?" Juice Dope says Lex Luthor is the best. Yeah, I mean, he's literally the smartest man in the world, and Batman is numbered the second smartest man in the world. It didn't used to always be the case. This happened during This happened in the pre-52 era. Under who is the writer? I got all these guys on my shelf, guys. So that's why I'm looking all crazy. I'm looking on my shelf as I'm talking to you. Because he wrote the the Batman and Sun run. Morrison, yeah. Um, Grant Morrison. He wrote this, and the sequel to this is called Batman R.I.P. When they believe Batman died after the events of Infinite Crisis, but actually what happened was um, the um the beams that the Dark Side's Omega beams actually sent Batman into the past, and it was as he kept jumping into different time eras, and each time it did it was increasing the amount of energy, so that when he came to the present, it was supposed to destroy everybody, but he found out and stopped it, of course, because he's the goddamn Batman. And if you don't know the joke about the goddamn Batman, it comes from the graphic novel The All-Star Batman, written by Frank Miller, where people think that Frank Miller must have lost his mind. Like the stuff that was going on in All-Star Batman, it was supposed to be two parts. It's supposed to be part one and part two. But part one was so insane they never made a part two, because people were just like, what the hell was Frank Miller sniffing when he wrote this book? Like he kept referring to himself as the goddamn Batman. Like someone said, why is everything you have bat themed? They was like, why do you have a bat themed vehicle? And he was, and this the person that was talking to him was uh what's the chick that can make the little song, the Black Canary. So so in the book, he rescued her or whatever, and they're driving in his Batmobile. He's like, look, I'm the goddamn Batman. If I want a goddamn car that I call the goddamn Batmobile, I'm gonna call it the goddamn Batmobile because I'm the goddamn Batman. And then what makes it worse is, so they get into a huge fight, and Batman lights everyone up. He he burns everyone to, like, he sets everyone ablaze with what's that what's that stuff they used to set people on fire with in like World War II and Vietnam, whatever that, not Greek fire, but something close to that. I forgot whatever you call it. He set everyone ablaze with that, and then ended up like having sex with Black Canary as all these people are just burning alive in front of them. That book was insane. If you haven't read All Star Batman, get that book. They really need to make a an animated movie off of that if they can. It would definitely be like rated R, hard R, if it's true to the book. But Frank Miller probably lost his mind. But that's where the whole joke about the goddamn Batman came from. In case anyone's ever curious about that. Noah Jarian says Glock sucks. You just think everything sucks today, Noah. Hey, Glock sucks. Superman sucks. God damn. No Diddy. But yeah. Thief Sports Debate says, why did they fire the last Superman actor? I thought he was solid. Be- I really don't know. As far as I know, James Gunn wanted a younger actor, which is funny because when you see the person he just hired for the new Superman movie, he literally looks like a younger version of Henry Cavill. He literally looked like Henry Cavill, just like 15 years younger than the Henry Cavill today. But apparently he wanted a young actor, but I don't know because he pretty much let everyone go from the Snyderverse except for the people who coincidentally did movies with him. So if they did movies with him, they're still going to be in the new DCU. But anyone else who worked for the Snyderverse previously is gone, except for the guy who plays Aquaman. He's going to be back in the DCU because they hired him to play um what's that guy? He's sort of like the Deadpool of the DC universe. Someone to remind me, but they he's the only one out of the Snyderverse who didn't previously work for James Gunn, who they've rehired. But they let everyone else go. You can't ask me why. I don't know. Apparently, he just wanted some younger actors, and he didn't want people to confuse the new DC universe with the old Snyderverse or DCEU, whatever you want to call it. But he wanted a whole new fresh start. So without X-Men, Marvel series would struggle to continue this storyline. Can't have Galactus without the true X-Men. You talking about in the movies coming going forward, or are you talking about in the comics? Because I'm not acquainted with what's going on in the comics now. I just know there's a fresh new X-Men thing going on in the comics, but I really don't read the stuff. Like as far as Marvel's concerned, I don't read all the crossover stuff. I only read um like the few characters that I actually like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Daredevil, and Captain America. I bought Captain America #1 a few months ago during Free Comic Book Day. They have a new run with him. Oh, the movies. Okay, so yeah, they really haven't done anything with the X-Men in the MCU yet. Now that they've acquired Fox Studios and they're slowly bringing in all the characters that used to be owned by 21 you know by 21st Century Fox into Marvel Studios. So you've seen little things happen where they're slowly bringing in X-Men content. Like if you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that Disney Plus series, they show Madripoor, which is like only a city in the X-Men, because that used to be one of Wolverine's favorite hideouts. You see in Miss Marvel that she's no longer in the MCU. She's a mutant. She's no longer an Inhuman. No one likes the Inhumans. They're just like a they're they're uh they're the Wish version of of the mutants. so she so because of that in the comic books, they also killed off Miss Marvel, and they're bringing her back as a mutant as she is in the MCU now. So she's going to be a mutant in both the comics and in the MCU. What else they do? X-Men, and then of course Multiverse of Madness, when they went to that when they were in the alternate universe and they had Professor X from the Fox Marvel, and did they have another one? No, but they did, and then they mentioned Wolverine in a newspaper clip in the Disney Plus series She-Hulk. They didn't show him, but they mentioned him in like a newspaper clipping. So they're slowly bringing him in, and with Deadpool and Wolverine, this is like the very first official bringing in of the X-Men into the MCU. But I don't think they're going to bring them into this current phase. I think they're going to wait. I'm guessing after the last phase ends with Secret Wars is when they're going to have like more like officially all the X-Men storylines fold into the MCU is probably going to happen after Secret Wars. I'm guessing. He said, "I can't wait when they introduce the Silver Surfer." You do? They're not using Nor. Not using Norrin Rad, right? They're using the female version. A lot of that pissed a lot of people off because how are you going to bring in Silver Surfer and you're not going to use the original Silver Surfer? You're going to use one of the versions from an alternate universe. So the Silver Surfer they're bringing into the MCU, FYF, is his girlfriend who in the alternate universe became the Silver Surfer. Oh, you didn't hear about that? Yeah, that pissed a lot of people off. It's not going to be Norrin Red. It's going to be his girlfriend who in the alternate universe became Silver Surfer. She's going to be the Silver Surfer in the new Fantastic Four movie. So I really don't want to even see it. I was like, if they fuck up Silver Surfer, I'm thinking they're going to fuck Galactus up too. I don't know. I mean, we already know the actor who's going to play Galactus, but they didn't say, how it's going to look. So I don't know. You said, how does that work? Well, like I said, the only I've never read those stories, but all I know is that there's, in the Marvel multiverse, there's an alternate universe where his girlfriend had became Silver Surfer instead of Norrin Red. So I don't know I don't know why, but that's why they call it the MCU. That's why they call it the MCU now, because it's like everything has to be feminine. Like all the most powerful characters in the MCU now are women, all of them. Yeah, it does kill the entire storyline. Like it defeats the whole purpose of bringing in the Silver Surfer if you're not going to use Norrin Rad and his whole original storyline, which connects to both Galactus and the Fantastic Four. Like I don't see the point. That's why I'm not going to the movies to see it. I'll watch it when it comes on Disney Plus, but I've already decided it's probably going to suck. You should look at the Mexican army videos with the cartels. When we talking about the official army, I don't want to look at any drug cartel stuff like all those snuff films that sneak up on, um, to sneak their way into YouTube and TikTok before they're removed. Besides, what do you mean, like, as far as watching them just to see like their military prowess? Like, I'm pretty sure if they're a standing army that they're well trained. So I don't have any doubts about that. And I know the U.S. Army cross trains with a lot of our allies like Mexico, Canada, UK, Philippines. Especially right now, they've been training heavily with the Philippines in case of China wants to act up. They've also been playing, involved in war games with Taiwan in case again China acts up. um, and with Australia again because if China acts up. So, but yeah, I have no doubt that I'm sure the Mexican army is good at what they do. Like I said, I've never trained with them or seen them, but I don't have any doubts about that. Are you from Mexico, by the way? In the Mexico in the cartoon in the I don't get. I think that was probably a typo. In the Mexico and the cartels are in the war right now. Oh. You mean like with the Sinaloa cartel and stuff like that? It shouldn't be that bad. The, actually that makes me anxious that the fact that they are in a war with the cartels. They should be easily able to demolish them. I would think. They train for they train for use of military units and what Mexico? I don't get it. So what I'm gathering is you're saying that right now the army in Mexico is fighting against the drug cartels, which is bad because that means that because that either means that the drug cartels are really powerful or that the Mexican army isn't powerful enough. That's what I'm getting from that. Because trust me, if 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 organized crime here got to the point where the American military had to step in, we have more than enough ways to hurt them. Like before we even before we even bring in a standing army, we have like drone technology and smart bombs. So um, we have, I mean, we have 18 active intelligence agencies, multiple specialized task forces, both civilian and military, and it just wouldn't work well for organized crime if they ever decided to actively go against the federal government. So I would think, I would hope that's the same in Mexico. um, but I don't know. That's another reason why I wouldn't, in my passport bro groups when they're talking about going to Mexico, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that right now. Like outside of going to the tourist spots, I wouldn't go to certain I wouldn't go to many places. Pretty much nowhere in North Mexico, which is actually the most violent part. Because most people think all of Mexico is a hellhole, and that's really not fair. It's mostly the northern area where there's a heavy concentration of the cartels and where you have the drug flow because that's where they're pushing it, across the border and across the Caribbean and stuff like that. So, um, but yeah, I would like the capital city, like Mexico City. I wouldn't trust it. Like a lot of people say, oh well, it's safe if if you live in like you know gated communities and have you know guards and stuff like that. I'm like, I shouldn't have to live that way. If I have to live somewhere where I have to have you know walls up around my home and have like security, that's not safe. I wouldn't feel safe having to do that every day on my day to day. Um, but that's no, like I said, that's no diss to Mexico. I just hope they can get that stuff together because I didn't even hear about that honestly. I probably need to bone up on some of my international news. I think the election coverage here and the recent Trump conviction has pretty much dominated the airwaves here. That a lot of information about what's going on overseas has been kind of pushed out. The only other thing I've really been hearing about overseas is obviously the current Israel Hamas war and talking about how Israel is doing whatever in Rafah in the Gaza Strip. But again, that's a different topic. Do y'all play Call of Duty? No, I'm sorry. I'm not a gamer. Like the last warlike game I've played is Halo. when I remember Halo was the shit when I was still in college, and like they had the Halo contest everywhere and all this sort of stuff. You know, when the PS2 was big, I remember that. But outside of Halo, then sometimes we used to play the old classic Bond on on N64. Like N64 was still old even when we were playing it, but sometimes we would just wanted to play like old, classic games. So we would play the old Bond movie. I mean, the old Bond video game, or it was this other game on N64 that was similar like Bond. I can't remember the name of it. Fernando Chavez 111 says King Franklin from Brazil. Who's King Franklin? Mm. Unless that's you. So by the way, guys, if you didn't see it last yesterday, I did what I said I was gonna do like almost 7 months ago or so. I did a video showing my bug out bag. That uh, I did a whole thing, and I emptied out my entire contents of my bug out bag. Unfortunately, I had a bunch of trolls while I was doing it, so they kept saying, "Well, where's this tool? Where's this piece of gear?" And I'm like, guys, simmer down. Let me go through each thing methodically. But it wasn't good enough for some people, and they were, trolling, saying, I didn't know what I was doing, or all this stuff must be from Walmart and all this other sort of stuff. So, whatever. I had fun showing people my bug out bag and the gear I have in it. It also allowed me to reorganize it, so I got to size it up a little bit better, so it's fin is a little bit more organized. I took out some things that I don't need in it immediately to make it lighter and easier to zip up. And a lot of those extra things in my bug out bag is going to go into a second bag that I have I'm just going to put that in my old fashioned army rucksack and put all those things in there. That will be like my bag that I have in my vehicle. So I'll have a bug out bag, but then I'll have like an auxiliary bag that I keep in a vehicle to bug out in case of a SHTF scenario, which means stuff hits the fan. Fernando says Belém del Pará City. I'm not familiar. I'm sorry. I don't know much about Brazil, which you would think being a passport bro, I would know about Brazil, but I haven't traveled to Latin America. Um, I should have went to Panama with my army unit, but I was still in training when they went to Panama, so didn't get to go to Panama with them. So that following year, I went to Germany instead, and I think I probably had would have had more fun in Germany than I would have in Panama. But who knows? Let me check something. And again, guys, sorry for my voice. It's been breaking up because I'm dehydrated because I just did a second run like an hour ago around 11:30 p.m. Um, and the run I had earlier that evening or that afternoon, I didn't I hadn't rehydrated, so I still I still needed to rehydrate, which is probably why you hear my voice breaking up and I'm drinking water. But yeah, like I said, in case you guys didn't see it, I have uploaded my video. It's up for you to view. You can check out the contents of my bug out bag. Is Most of this stuff is very basic stuff that you can easily acquire, either by going to a sporting goods store, finding like an old army supply store, going on eBay or Amazon. Some people were asking me, how do you get started? And I told them just the first thing is to go to a sporting goods store and finding a good backpack. People, this looks like a little generic backpack, but that's actually a pretty durable sporting backpack, um, from from my alma mater, of course. And I was telling people you don't want a tactical backpack, something that looks like it's militaristic, with all the molly webbing and the camouflage. Unless you're into that thing, like some of the people all into the wilderness and bushcraft stuff, they they like that stuff. But if from for a common bug out scenario, you just want to blend in with everyone else. You don't want everyone to look at you and be like, oh, he must have a bunch of stuff in his bag, because that might attract the wrong attention. So just a simple black or gray or brown backpack would be good. That's where you start, and then you can buy the items that you want individually for your bug out bag. And like I was telling folks, I would recommend not buying a pre-made bug out bag on Amazon or at Walmart, because usually they put in a bunch of cheap stuff. And one is, it could be cheaper just to buy the stuff individually. Two, like, you don't have no choice of what's in it already unless you customize it afterwards. But then that defeats the purpose of buying a pre-made bug out bag. And three, like I said, it some of that stuff may not be what you actually need or want. So sorry for that. This person is getting banned. Yeah, I don't look like Don Cheeto. Moonlit Fern says paracord, knife with flint and steel, fishing string and hooks. I got a small hatchet and slingshot. You got a slingshot? That's cool. I have a Filipino slingshot, but it's just for it's just like art. It's like an artwork. It's not like a functional slingshot. Slingshots are very useful though. People don't know that about that. So I know you know what you're talking about. The fact that you have a slingshot. Um, so I don't have paracord or tactical cord. I have like braided utility rope, and it doesn't have the same tensile strength as paracord, but it's going to do the job. Plus, I also have climbing rope, and that has more tensile strength than all of them: tactical, paracord, utility rope, all of that. So I have climbing rope in there, and you can check out the video Moonlit Fern if you want to see what I have in there. But climbing rope, and I have some utility braided rope. The knife, I have a Bowie knife. Um, I have a wedding stone, like fish and string hooks. I have some snare wire, which I can use as fishing string. Um, a small hatchet. I don't have a hatchet, but I have a folding saw in there. I am thinking about buying a tactical tomahawk, but if I do, I'm not gonna put it in that bag. It's just too much stuff in there already. And like I was telling people in that video yesterday, the too many people attempted to throw everything in one bag. You should only put like the essentials in it, because at the end of the day, if it's a SHTF scenario and you're out on foot, like you can't, for some reason you can't take your vehicle to get to your bug out location, and you have to go it on foot, like for a couple of days. For the person who's not, trained in the military, or someone who does ruck that goes rucking as a form of exercise, just a 20-pound bag is gonna really weigh down on them. And like I said, that's nothing compared to like what infantry grunts and special operators do when they might be carrying around like a 30-40 pound rucksack for like a whole day. So keep it basic. Don't have a slingshot. Um, I might look into that though, but if I do, it'll go into my rucksack. It won't go into my bug out bag because it's just enough stuff in there already, and I already want to put a few other things in it, like um my reading glasses I haven't put in there. I'm gonna put a little bit more food in there, but not. And then I'm gonna buy some dehydrated food, like MREs and stuff like that, and put that in my rucksack. Let me see what Mrs. Contrarian deleted. Some of y'all are weird. Like, mm. There's definitely some incels. Some of you guys need to go out and do some push-ups and get punched in the face. Some of these trolls, like some of these trolls online, you guys need to go join an MMA gym or a boxing gym where you can get punched in the face so you learn how to talk to people. No, you ain't offend me, Shell, man. It's just literally I get that every day. People saying I look like Don Cheadle, and I really don't. Um, Someone else say I look like Gus Fring when I put on my glasses. I don't know how people think I look like Gus Fring. I think that's how you say his name, the guy from um, Breaking Bad, which I've only watched one episode of that. He said, someone says, "Who are you?" Just a Contrarian. Moonlit Fern says, "I'm American, bro, but I live in Thailand. I think about it all the time." What, as far as like having like a bug out scenario? Thailand is pretty chill. I mean, except for that whole thing. I don't know how long you've been living in Thailand. Were you living there when they had that coup back in the day? That was like, I think that was like 5 years ago when they had that the military coup. Because that's actually how they ended up not getting Taylor Swift to come. Because my wife can tell you about this. She's a huge Swiftie fan. But Taylor Swift was supposed to perform there, but when they had their military coup, her management canceled the tour there, so they lost out because of that. But aside from that, Thailand is relatively chill. So is the Philippines, where my wife and I stay. I'm not there now, but where we usually stay. Like, the politics sucks, but literally politics sucks everywhere. So I can't count that against them. In my band? No, if you're still posting, that means you're still here. If you can't post, then that means you're banned. I'm not going to ban someone just because they make a bad joke. I only ban people when they're being malicious. It's difference. There's a difference between making a bad joke and being malicious. We get the nuance here. I'm not a snowflake. I'm not going to ban someone because they made a bad joke, or even if they insult me. I'm only going to be ban someone when they're being so offensive that it's dragging down the conversation. That's all. Moonlit Fern says they have bracelets of paracord. Yeah, yep, I've seen those. I think I'm gonna get some. It's a bunch of stuff I have in my. I've made a list of stuff that I want to get next time. I might go to the PX. Like there's one near me. If I think the closest one near me now is Fort Meade. I can go to the PX there. I have to I have to get my veterans ID card. That's the only reason I haven't been there yet. I don't have my veterans ID card. Get that because it's all digital now. There's no the ID card isn't there's no hard copy unless you have your old one from back in the day. Otherwise, it's a digital one. So get that, and I can do some shopping at the PX because I they are because there are some military supply stores around here, but well, surplus store rather, but all the military surplus stores are about the same distance as if I just went to Fort Meade. So if if those are the same distance, I may as well just go to Fort Meade and find some stuff, or I can go to like Dick's Sporting Goods, which is up the street from me. They might have some stuff. REI um, is really good. They used to be one around here. They I think it even moved or it closed, but there used to be a REI Sporting Goods store, which is better than Dick's Sporting Goods. More expensive, but I think they have better stuff. He said, "Yeah, I have the Bear Grylls knife and a Tango folding saw is awesome, broski. Simple first aid. Yeah, yeah. I had a first aid kit and all that stuff in my. I actually took one. Those are one of the things I took out because it's too bulky. So in place of my first aid kit, I just have like a Ziploc bag full of like basic stuff like like that the like antibiotics, gauze pads, band-aids, and um whatever else. But like I have like a pack of that instead of having like a full-on first aid kit because it was just taking up too much space in the bag. But I still have my cat tourniquet, and I keep that on the outside of the bag. So I think it's more important to have it on the outside because in case you're injured, it's gonna be hard as hell trying to go into your bag and reach and get this cat tourniquet. So I keep that in the outside of my bag in a tactical pouch that I clip to the shoulder strap. Shadow Band says bow and arrow. I am thinking about getting a bow and arrow, but again, that won't be part of my bug out stuff, my bug out kit. It'll be, like something I just keep with my other like martial arts weapons. Because I was thinking of getting a bow and arrow, and I might get a tactical crossbow. Now, the tactical crossbow, I will probably keep in my vehicle. Because as far as I know, that's not something that's illegal to drive around with. So I would keep the tactical crossbow in my vehicle with my rucksack, which would be like my alternative go bag. Mulan Fern says I was Army infantry 4 years way back in the day. That's what's up. 13 Bravo. I mean, sorry, didn't mean to insult you. 11 Bravo, that is. 11 Bravo. It was funny. I was scared to do that, but if I had to do it now, I might have chosen that as a secondary MOS, not my primary. But if I had, when I was reenlisting, I kept my same MOS, but I was tempted to change it. Actually, I was going to change it. It was a choice between combat medic, um, which uh, with the option with the EMS certification. Nowadays, there's only one combat medic. They wiped out the whole series. Now there's just one combat medic, and it comes with the EMS certification. But back then, it was about three or four different ones, and only one of them made it with the EMS certification. So it was a choice between that or psychological assistant. And I was going to go with psychological assistance, but I got um, called back into my previous unit when they got deployed, and because I wasn't already MOS Q for my secondary MOS, I had to go back. Shell says you can craft your own bow and arrow. Oh, I'm sorry. Moonlit Fern is saying Shadow, you can craft your own bow and arrow. That's that's timely though. You can, but you can find some cheap ones on eBay to tell you the truth, or you can just go to the sporting goods store or I think I've even seen I think I've seen some at Walmart. Yeah, I think I've seen some at Walmart as well in like the sporting goods section. So you can buy one cheap instead of crafting your own. I mean, if you have to make your own one, you can, but I'm not really into DIY weapons myself. Shadowban says, "Dang, why so violent?" Me? I'm not. Moonlit Fern says, "Learn Muay Thai or Jiu Jitsu." Oh, I do Muay Thai. I'm actually planning on doing a video on like some basics. I've been saying that for a year. I just haven't had the proper setup to do it. But it grew out of basically like some training I was giving my wife. And I was like, I should do this like a video and post it on my channel. And she was like, yeah, you should. I was like, all right, I will. I just um wanted like some place to do it because it's not gonna be like Muay Thai for like actual like combat sports, like to it'll be just basically like for fitness sake, or just, well, not fitness, but like just for like practical self. It's gonna be like really dumb, watered down Muay Thai for like self defense, and it's gonna be like Muay Thai using JKD concepts, John Fan Jeet Kune Do, like using the concepts of John Fan Jeet Kune Do Muay Thai. I was gonna do like a little basic video on that, but I have done Muay Thai. I've actually did a seminar while I was in Thailand, and they wanted me to stay and maybe do a fight or two, but I told them I this was like during my honeymoon, so I was like, well, yeah, next time I come back, I will. And now you can go there for 3 months. Now they have a student visa you can do in Thailand where you can go there for 3 months on a student visa and train at a boxing gym, and you can even do a few fights. I do want to go back and do that. Jiu-jitsu, I'm not. Jiu-jitsu is okay, but I really don't like BJJ culture that much, to be honest. So I'm not as great of a fan of it. I I kind of prefer combat submission wrestling over Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just because it's a it's a mix of things like sorry, combat submission wrestling is sort of like a mixture of Jiu-Jitsu, catch wrestling, uh judo, and something else. But I like combat submission wrestling over Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Plus, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just takes like 10 years just to get your black belt. And like, I don't know. So since 2005. Yeah, so you've been there when they had that military coup. So outside of that, I haven't really heard of too many bad things. I remember around, what, 2006 or 2008 or so, they they had complained that the Marines was going too hard at the bar girls. So I think they said they were going to start giving them Article 15s for bar fining. But yeah, I think you're relatively safe in Thailand compared to other places. The coup was here in Bangkok. Yep, I remember. That was 20. Oh, that was 24. Yeah, 2014. Because like I said, yeah, that makes sense because that's when Taylor Swift was supposed to perform that year. Thailand, Japan, and um, LOAs are super chill. Yeah, I never wish to go back to USA. That's literally how I felt for like the last 3 years. I've just been dragging my ass to get back because I've already told my closest friends and family like when I leave, I'm not coming back, guys. I was like, you know, they're more than welcome to visit me over in the Philippines, but I'm not coming back here. Like when I leave, I leave. Like I've been going back and forth between the countries for several years, but the next time I leave, I'm not coming back. So I salute you for being here since 2005. You're literally not missing anything. And plus, it's fun when you're over there and you're seeing all the political calamity just happen over here, and you can just look at it like, yeah, I'm glad I'm not there. Like I remember like the whole thing that happened like at uh, Virginia State back in, what was it, like 2017 or whatever, with the supremacists that came up on Virginia State, and then there was that riot and all that sort of stuff. And I was watching this from Thailand, and I'm like, I was showing my wife, I'm like, see, I'm glad I'm not there. And I was telling her that's actually where my family lives, right near the campus. Um, sorry, not Virginia State, UVA, University of Virginia. But yeah, right around where University of Virginia is, my family lives there, very close to the Jefferson estate, and we're actually, no surprise, related to Jefferson through Sally Hemings. And when so it was ironic that the supremacists came out there because that neighborhood is pretty. Um, when I went there, because the mall closed that used to be around there. But when I went there, it seemed like it's a pretty multicultural area. Not as much as like DC or New York or San Francisco or anything, but it seemed like most people were getting along. I didn't get any sort of feelings of racial tension out there, but because of the political atmosphere at the time. What's my MOS? So it was 3031 Lima, which is cable and telephone installation and maintenance. We call ourselves cable dogs because you will see C31 Limas running out with the cable trucks, running cable from the back of the truck. So they call us cable dogs, like a dog running behind a truck. So I did that, and it was Army. Jack is here says depends on where you live. That's true. Moonlit Friend says, did you get shipped overseas? Salute, brother. I was Army infantry, but artillery, which is not fun being in tanks. I heard people. Oh, that sucks. I thought people liked the tanks more than being on foot. So the tanks that was an 11 series, right? Wasn't that was that like 12 series? I can't remember the designation, but I I did I went I did training overseas, but I didn't get when we got deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. I didn't go with them during deployment. I let them know that I had PKU and I was supposed to go to an appointment at Johns Hopkins. So when I went to the appointment at Johns Hopkins, they were actually trying to get me out of deployment. I'm like, I'm cool, but I was like, if you guys think I need to be on this medical diet, and the medical geneticist said, well, you can eat a regular diet, but I think the dietitian was actually saying no, he needs to be back on a diet. So that information went to the medical review board, and they was like, well, we're just gonna keep you stateside. So that's what happened. So I stayed stateside for a year, and then a year later they just medically discharged me, which was around the time I was supposed to leave anyway. So, but I was glad, when my unit came back, everyone was safe. Nothing really bad happened. There was like almost one, scenario that almost went haywire, but other than that, everyone came back safely. And we had a we had a Marine LAV unit that trained alongside of us. Um, they had got deployed the year before we did, and again, they were safe. They lost one person, which I guess for them sucks. Losing anyone is always bad, whether it's one or 100. But they lost one person, but otherwise they came back in sound. They came back, squared away as well. CJ says, "How old are you?" 46. Moonless says, "Yeah, everything changed. I don't even know if they even do maps anymore. Oh, they still do maps." Devon says, "This nigga seems very likable. Why? Hey, appreciate it." Moonless says, "Compound bows for the win." I do want a bow. I've wanted a bow and arrow since Rambo. I mean, granted, I know that they don't really have explosive arrowheads, which would be pretty whore if they did. But um, even still, I wanted ever since the little compound bow that Rambo was using. Like I wanted a bow and arrow ever since then. Jack is here says, "Hey, I'm only in high school and I've already started getting certified to start out as an officer in the military." That's good, Jack. Make sure you stay fit. That's really important. Um, Fitness, I can't emphasize that enough, especially right now. They've they've put higher emphasis on fitness than they did when I came in, which is a shame because they're losing out on a lot of people, especially when they can't even make when a lot of enlist like recruiters can't can't make their quotas. And I mean, planning on getting a commission, which is a little bit different than coming in as an enlistee. But still, you want to make fitness a priority. Um, Make sure you bone up on knowing your orders, all that all that good stuff. Maybe get a field manual, start reading that if you don't already have one. I don't know if you're doing ROTC or what, but yeah, sounds like you're in a good way. Like I said, just make sure you make fitness a priority. That's very important because it sounds like if you're going, it sounds like the route that you're going, you plan on going to OCS. If it's the Army, it's called OCS, and then it's different. They might call it Officer Training School or whatever in the different branches, but they're all pretty similar. Officer Candidate School, Officer Training School, whatever. So make sure you're in shape, right? And make sure you know like your basic. I don't know, and I was assuming Army, but I don't want to assume it's Army. I don't know which branch, but make sure you know relative to that branch what their mission is. So only for instance, he has great cardio and self defense. Yeah, true. So you can get a 6 months visa too. If not, run to Laos for the stamp every 90 days. If you're ever out here again, we can link up. I'm out of shape. I want to get back. Yeah, that's my email's in the description. So if you ever want to link up, just let me know. I don't know when I'm gonna be out there yet, so and I'm not gonna put it online when I go out. I'll let people know after I get there. I never tell people prior to when I'm traveling, when I'm going, just because that wouldn't be very tactical of me to tell people, when I live, on YouTube when I'm heading out somewhere. I'd rather just tell them once I get there. But yeah, I can definitely link up. Definitely want to go to some gyms. I want to go back to Venom training camp in Pattaya. There's more than one Venom in Thailand. I think there's three different Venom training camps. There aren't any in Bangkok though. I think there's one in Pattaya. I think there's one in Chiang Mai, and there's one somewhere else. I can't remember, but I think it's three different Venom training camps in Thailand. So I want to go there. And I also would like to check out Sanchai's gym in Bangkok. So I like to try that one out as well. And yeah, that's a good idea. Like after the 3 month visa run out, you could just run to Laos. The only thing is, I think once the visa is up, when I come back, like if I go say to Laos or Cambodia and come back, it'll only be good for like 30 days. So probably have to keep jumping back, jumping back and forth, which is fine. What I'll probably do, I'll just go back to the Philippines, then go right back. Same thing. Or I can go to or I mean that's a good point too, Laos, because that might just give me an excuse to do a whole Indochina trip. Hit like Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, maybe Myanmar if they're not still with that conflict they're doing right now. But I know right now it's not a good time to go to Myanmar. But maybe just do a whole Indochina trip between Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. So I'd rather be in Bangkok, but pause to Chicago, right? Philippines got good fishing. Yeah, just don't fish over where China keeps fucking with them. Like China's navy keeps fucking with the Philippines Coast Guard out north the out towards the shoals, which is disputed territory. Like the UN and everyone else has already um, ascertained that that is part of the Philippines maritime territory. But China, has that what's it called, that 8 line drawn thing that where they claim pretty much most of the maritime territory in Southeast Asia. So all the ASEAN nations are have like kind of grouped together in defense against China. Only for instance, yeah, I understand a unique perspective being on the outside looking in. I only miss American food, not the people. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, so I miss the food. I'm surprised. Well, I don't know about Bangkok, but I hear Pattaya has a lot of expats that run restaurants. Like, you know, when I watch people like uh Chocolate Man in Thailand, or um Richie Max, forgot what Richie Max channel is called, but he's always highlighting, because they both stay in Pattaya. They're both always highlighting all the like black owned restaurants over there in Thailand, run by expats, like Dante Tiger and some other places. And they were showing like all these little they were showing like soul food restaurants out there. And there's some that's not also black owned, it's white owned restaurants too, that serve like good food, like barbecue, southern food, stuff like that. So I can't really speak for how good American food is in Thailand. I know that you can pretty much get anything you want in Japan, though. And well, in Tokyo, that is. I think in Tokyo you can find just about everything. The only food I really haven't found since I've been in Southeast Asia has been Jamaican food, except for beef patties. Like, and I'm when I'm in the Philippines, I can find beef patties for some reason. Like they like those, but I can't like find like, you know, like curry chicken, uh, you know, jerk chicken, cocoa bread, you know, aki and saltfish, all that sort of stuff. Like I can't find Jamaican or West Indian food in Southeast Asia until someone opens up a restaurant. And only for instance, hell yeah, Army, let's go. So we have to call them cannons, not tanks, so we get put on blast. Oh shit. Worst experience at boot camp. Um, Probably when I was hungry as shit. Just being hungry as hell sometimes coming out of chow hall in the morning sucked. Or um, the only other thing that kind of, because basic training really wasn't that bad, because I went to Fort Relax in Jackson. I don't know what they renamed Fort Jackson now, because now it's all PC. It's all, you know, politically correct. So they renamed all the um all the army posts. They were named after Confederate officers. So I don't know what they call Fort Jackson now, but I went to Fort Relax in Jackson. So it was pretty chill. We trained with the girls, which was motivation for me and some other guys. Um, Only bad experience was, I remember we were doing our bivouac, the 3 day bivouac before you graduate, and they, you know, they had popped gas in that area, so we put on our mask, and mine, I couldn't properly seal mine, and so I was like kind of freaking out. My homeboy was like, "Yo, I'm gonna clown you later." I was like, "Dude, I can't." I said I can't, you know, seal it. I was like, I'm not trying to be sitting here choking out on smoke for the next hour or two. So that was like the only bad experience really. But other than that, it was pretty chill. Like I said, my only complaint was always being hungry, going to chow hall. That was the worst experience for me. I actually liked it better when we were out on bivouac, because I got to eat more um, from the MREs, because so many people hated the MREs. They would just give them to me, so I got plenty to eat out in the field. I'm only first say I wanted to go Marines, but Army saved my life. My biggest regret though is that I didn't do more. I didn't do more like tactical training. Like, you know, after AIT, I should have went to jump school, and the only reason I didn't go to jump school after AIT is just because I wanted to get back to. I wanted to go directly to my permanent duty station. I didn't want to waste time doing more training. I wanted to go directly to my permanent duty station so I could start getting ready to go back to college. So I regret that. I wish I did go to jump school, and then afterwards did air assault. So those are my two only regrets, that I didn't do those. Only says I'm 41. Okay. Emily, for instance, yeah, they do 70-pound pressure compound bow. You can crack an elk. God damn. No, no, that's true. I was just saying. Remember how like in Rambo, he had like he had the explosive uh, explosive arrow tips. And I remember, looking at that, I was like, well, those don't actually exist, but it'd be cool if they did, or at least they didn't back then. If they've made explosive arrowheads now, that's awesome. But I don't think they definitely didn't have those in the 80s and 90s. Said PT is super priority. Quit drinking and smoking before boot camp is rough. Yeah, tell them no smoking and joking. That's what we used to call this. Like it's like, oh, what did you do before you joined the army? Smoking and joking. Yeah, so that's why I told him make staying fit a priority, especially as an officer, because officers are technically supposed to lead from the front, right? So this officer candidate school is going to be demanding. If I was going to be an officer, it would be only through getting a direct commission, which I almost did. But again, I didn't get a chance to finish my degree before I got called up for deployment. That's why I never ended up doing direct commission. But because of my degree, I could have, since I was already in the medical area, field, I had switched to Walter Reed Army Hospital because I was preparing to do my MOS for psychological assistant before I got called back to my unit at Fort Detrick. But if I stayed and finished my degree, I had planned to do a direct commission as a unit health administrator. And with direct commission, all you have to do is like 2 weeks of training to learn all the customs for being a officer. Like you don't have to go through all the physical training and all that sort of stuff you do in OCS. So if he's still here in this live stream, like I'm only Fern is saying, make PT, make physical fitness a super priority before you go in while you're still in high school right now. And like I said, learn whichever branch you are planning on joining, make it a priority to know their mission, to know what the officers role are. And again, and also like stay clean, don't no smoking and drinking, all that sort of stuff. Leave those bad habits to after you get in. Burma's not safe right now. Oh, I know. That's what I was saying. Because my wife, she's supposed to do she's gonna do a solo Indochina trip, and originally Burma was gonna be on her list, but we both know Burma's not a good idea right now. So just Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. That's I think it for right now. And then I think she would fly. She would probably get there from I think Indonesia. I think so. TYD says Oilers or Panthers for the Stanley Cup. I'm not a sports guy, so I can't tell you. Uh, Patter Reggae R says greetings from Germany. Hope that all of you are doing well. Have a nice week, y'all. Thanks, Patter. I hope I'm saying that properly as well. Is it Patter? Molan says, yeah, jerk chicken and all Indian food are amazing in Bangkok. I'm gonna take you to MBK. Their chow hall was yo, chow hall was the worst, and that mustard gas was kind of fun but burn. Right. So when we had to do the CS chamber thing, you supposed to say your name, your rank, and your serial number. I was the first one in, and like I couldn't punk out because, like I said, at Rick Jackson, we train with the girls, so that was proper motivation for me. Because anytime we were doing something, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm seeing all the girls with us. I'm like, I'm not gonna be a bitch in front of these girls. So I'm the first one in line. But again, I was not properly sealing my mask correctly. That's why I was bugging out when we went to bivouac, because just like I didn't properly seal my mask when we went to the CS chamber, I didn't properly seal it while we were doing the 3-day bivouac, and I was the first one in. I didn't even get my name out, And the drill sergeant was like, name, rank, serial number. And I was like, private. He was like, all right, you can go. So I didn't even get to say my whole name, rank, and serial number after I broke the seal. Peter Ford says seer training. No, not. We're just doing basic training. I didn't go through seer. Seer, like I said, seer would have been something I could have asked to that I could go to, but that wasn't something I was offered at AIT. At AIT, they were just asking students if they wanted to go go airborne. So, leaking out every eye and nose, right. And then they had the nerve to give us a video of everything we did in training. They showed us coming out of the CS chamber, everybody just snot and tears everywhere. It was funny. I should have bought that video because it'd be funny to have it now to look at it. I could show that to like my wife or like my niece and nephew and be like, yeah, that was us. But yeah, I didn't do SEER training, Peter. Like I said, that could have been SEER and Pathfinder school would have been like two things I would have asked to do, like through my first sergeant at my permanent duty station, and they're only gonna probably allow you to do that if they think you have the capabilities of doing it. But since we were a non-combat MOS, I'm not sure if I could do SEER. I could probably do Ranger school, um, which is not Ranger Ranger school like 75th Rangers, but just the Ranger leadership course that they allow anyone in the army to do. That would have been something. Yeah, so that would have been three things I would have done uh, after I got to my permanent duty station at Fort Detrick would be seeing if I could do Pathfinder school because that was pretty much all academic. Pathfinder school, like you still did PT and stuff, but physical training wasn't a part of Pathfinder school. And I think you could pretty much conduct your own uh, PT in the morning. But Pathfinder school, maybe SEER training and Rangership leader course, the Ranger leadership course. Because at least with the Rangership leadership course, you did get the tab. Peter Ford says I did SEER after air tactical training in Cali. So you passed because SEER is hard as hell. And SEER is part of what you have to do if you go special forces. Like that's required. I think it's required um for both special forces and rangers is doing SEER. When you say air tactical training, are you talking about the Halo course? I was E in E300. I'm not. What's what's Echo 300? I haven't heard of Echo 300. That sounds like something related to. Oh, SEAL. Okay. So, okay, that's cool. That's what's up. That's why it wasn't familiar to. I was like Echo 300. I was like that doesn't even sound like a Army MOS. That's what confused me. Okay, so yeah, SEAL. Yeah, you're way more high speed than I am. I was non-combat, so there was no SEER training required. Like I said, there are some schools for people, even if they're non-combat, that they can apply through their chain of command to do like Rangership leadership course, Pathfinder school, um, jump school, and air assault, those sort of things, and some other schools as well. I think you can do the I forgot what that medical course is called, but those are things that anyone can do, like regardless of MOS. But I just didn't do those. Oh, your dad was 101st Airborne. Okay, that's what's up. The bot. Naeem says hello. What's up, Debak? How are you? I know my wife is moderating, so I know her eyes crossed with us talking military stuff. But well, I mean, she knows that I'm a veteran, so well, my MOS was 31 Lima, which is cable installation and maintenance. So it is a dual role. So we have our we have the domestic stuff we do, like back in the in the barracks, and in garrison. I guess in garrison what we do is basically like with the Verizon of the army, basically. Like we do all the cable and telephone stuff. But on the tactical side, me we might run wire to link up different places while in combat. Also, we're responsible for decrypting and encrypting signals. So we're sort of like the first. The We're at the very bottom of signal. Sorry, I just reconnected, guys. So I hope everyone's still here. But yeah, so 31 Lima, like I said, on the garrison side, we're basically like cable guys. But on the tactical side, we have to be responsible for communication in the field and signal intelligence at the lowest level of signal intelligence. So we had to have security clearance and all that. Oh, when did I EOS? When did I EOS end of service? I'll say we say ETS, but same thing. Yeah, I ETS back in so 2000, 2005, 2005. I think is when I ETS. It was a medical discharge. Excuse me if I was stuttering. Throat still kind of sore. He said, "Now you got up before the military went off." Yeah. So I don't think this. I don't really think this off. I mean, in some areas, yeah, because you got this politically correct stuff. Like I think there's like a army. I don't know if it's army or someone high up in the chain of command is trans now. So I'm like, what the hell? I think the officer even has like purple hair and shit. I'm like, word? I'm like, this would not have flown back in '98. But yeah, um, we have some top brass is like trans now. So, but the people who are still in the combat fields, I don't think they're soft. I think the politics of the military has gotten softer, but I think the people still out there doing, you know, the ones who actually do, combat, like I think they're still at the top of their game. Melissa says, imagine. Yeah, like I said, it's really, literally a dude, or I'm sorry, not a dude. It's a lady who has like purple hair, who's like top brass, and I think they only put her in that position, or him, whatever. Shem, they put Shem in that position because it looks good for political reasons. So stress cards when they use the DIs. So you know what? The stress cards is a myth because that's literally been around since I came in. Like I remember when I went in '98 and all the old, everyone thinks the next generation of military is softer than the rest, and there's some truth to that. But the stress cards has always been a myth. So here's the truth about stress cards. So they even did this on what's that what's that website that debunks urban myths? I forgot what it's called, but anyway, the whole stress cards thing. So that was a real thing that was tried out in the army back in like the '90s, but it was just an experiment. It never became like a real thing because when I went in '98, all the old heads were like, Yeah, you guys got it easy now. Y'all get to go into those new Hollywood barracks. He said we had to rough it in the old barracks back in the day. We didn't have any heat and air conditioning, all that sort of good stuff like you guys do. And if you get tired or get upset, you can just wave your stress cards. That was never true. Because I was like, word, is that really gonna happen? But it never happened because when I was in, then we was people were teasing the next batch of people saying, oh, y'all gonna get stress cards. And I remember telling someone, I said, that's not true. Don't even worry about that. There's no stress cards. What's up with this BBL Drizzy? Like the guy already lost. Y'all just beating a dead horse at this point. Favorite MRE? Probably the Chili Mac. I was I think the Chili Mac is still my favorite. Yeah. The Chili Mac is my favorite one. I'm mad back in 2014 when they started doing all the new MREs. They were they were hiring people to taste test them, and they were actually doing like they were actually hiring people. And what the only caveat is that you could eat nothing but MREs all day, but they were giving you a bunch of MREs and they were going to pay you for trying them for like I think 60 days. And I don't know why I didn't do it because I was like, man, that could have been like free meals that I could have took to the office and got paid for it. I'm still mad that I didn't try it because they got a bunch of new flavors now. And after 2014, all those new meals they came out with, I think it was like 20 different ones they added. The expiring Skittles. Hey, I ate those things, and the Jolly Ranchers, the stale M&Ms. Kalayehu says, "I'm South African, by the way. What's up from South Africa?" And I'm just teasing you. I'm just saying the BB because someone else said BBL Jersey earlier before you came onto the stream. Said America used to be so badass when I was a kid. Now the leaders have made a joke of it. Uh, yes and no. Some of our leaders definitely are a joke, like our current president. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I can't disagree with that. A lot of our leaders are a joke, and they're too damn old. A person who's been around since like World War I shouldn't be currently president. So Moonlit Fern said, "Yep, Skittles was on point." Yeah, and like it was between the Skittles and the Jolly Ranchers because people used to use also use the Jolly Ranchers and put it in their water. I think Sleepy Joe. I call him Jim Crow Joe. Moonlit Fern says sour Skittles. I didn't know existed until like they got sour Skittles in MREs now. Or you talking about just the sour Skittles, the candy itself? Because those been out for a long time. Unless you mean they now have them in the MREs. Peter says especially when you let them sit in the sun in a Kumar province and they would melt in your mouth. Yeah, I haven't been in the Kumar province, but yeah, the, yeah, I can't, man. Next time I go to a actually that is on my list though to get some MREs because I need to stock those for my bug out vehicle. Well, not my bug out vehicle, but I have a bug out bag right there, but I'm gonna have a second um go bag in my vehicle for like stuff that I can't fit in my bug out bag, and one of the stuff I want to put in there is some MREs. So I do want to stock up on those. I'll probably put like several in my rucksack, and I'm gonna eat a few of them next time I go to like either the surplus store or go to the PX up Fort Meade. Oh no, at 7-Eleven. Okay. So if you're new to the sour Skittles, you probably don't know about the the nerds. They now have a nerd what do you call them? It's nerd these nerd clusters. You gotta try those. My homeboy put me onto those. I'm not gonna lie, I ate the whole bag the first time I had them. It's called nerd clusters, where they're like if you remember like the nerd tape, where they're like on a like a little strip of like a strip of like fruit chew tape. They have a similar thing where it's like the nerd clusters. Those are good. Those are addictive. They better never put something like that in the MRE. um, Kale Kayalethu, and let me know if I'm saying your name correctly. By the way, Kayalethu. Do you think the U.S. could ever get back to its former glory without destroying this gender spectrum LGBTQILMNOP way of thinking? Well, so that's Trump's whole um, campaign is "Make America Great Again," which pisses off a lot of people. What, but what he's talking about is going back to a point when he says "Make America Great Again." People take it as some sort of supremacist thing, which is not what it's really meant. What he really means, more or less, is coming back to a point where people used to be proud to say they were American. That's what he means. Oh, you can call me Kaya. Okay, thank you. Can we get back to that point? Possibly, but right now things are so politically heated that no matter what happens, there's always going to be half the country that hates what the government is doing because they hate whoever is in office. Half of the country is always going to be in opposition to whoever is currently in office because of our two-party political system is pretty toxic. The two-party political system isn't even something that was built into our Constitution. It's something that ended up becoming commonplace just through habit, but it's neither necessary nor very successful anymore in how politics is run. It's good for the two corporate owned parties, but it's bad for most Americans because you're fitting a bunch of divergent views on politics into just two camps, and it's not. It's I don't the I think the some of the costs outweigh the benefits at this point of the two party system because it I remember it used to be heralded like when I went to when I took political science. um Basically the two party system was heralded for its efficiency and other things, but I think nowadays the cost of the two party system outweighs its benefits. So can we get back to a better place? Yeah. Can we do it without getting into all this gender stuff and LGHD TV? I don't know. Bring us back to the 90s. Yeah. I mean, even the 90s. The thing is, so some people have certain hangups about decades. And like I was telling a friend, she's a sociology professor, and she was all upset because her kids' elementary school was doing like a 50s day or 50s week. And she was like, why would they celebrate that decade? And I'm like, give it a rest. I'm like, just because you don't like the 50s because you're a leftist doesn't mean other people can't enjoy it. I said, besides that, the kids don't know anything about the politics. And on top of that, every decade is fraught with certain concerns and things that people would rather not remember today. Even the 90s. Like there was stuff going on in the 90s people wouldn't like, between the Iraq War, the breakup of Yugoslavia, um, Clinton and the whole blowjob fiasco, and um, a bunch of other things that was going on in the 90s. So, but no one remembers that when that's the era you grew up in as a kid, it's like your favorite thing. Like I love the 80s, but as a kid, I didn't care anything about the Iran Contra affair or the economic recession and the Cold War and all sort of things. But someone looking back at the 80s now will say, "Oh, the 80s was a horrible time." Yeah, no, it wasn't. Peter Ford says technology ruined us. I don't think technology ruined us. Technology is always a tool, both for good and for bad. I brought this up in a previous live stream. I said the funny thing is technology has always been seen as bad since the very beginning of technology. And I took it all the way back. Like if you go all the way back to Hellenistic Greece, like ancient Greece, Socrates railed against writing, formal writing, because he thought it would ruin people's memory and they wouldn't be able to amass as much knowledge because they'll be too dependent on writing things down. So I was like, at the very beginning of technology with writing, you had people thinking that technology was bad because that's why Socrates has never written anything himself because he was against writing. Everything we know about him and all of his philosophies come from his students like Plato and some other folks who wrote about him. Kaya says, but technology has also given us great ways of communicating like we are now. Exactly. Like people think the internet is horrible, but I wish we had I wish we had the web back in like the 80s and 90s, early 90s before, before 94. We had internet, but there was no World Wide Web prior to it going commercial in 94. So the only internet people used back in the 80s and early 90s was email and the Usenet groups. And you only like only people in those Usenet groups were like super geeky people. Plus most people couldn't even afford to have internet back then. But I wish we had World Wide Web back then and Windows and all that because I could have stayed in touch with a lot of friends I lost touch with as a kid because we moved around so much. Guys, it's getting late, so I'm about to call it a day. um, I'll take a few more comments, but then I'm gonna end things. Kaya says, "Imagine trying to get a message to someone with a pigeon. That was crazy. You'd be surprised. It worked. It worked in Game of Thrones, but of course they kind of exaggerated how precise that was in Game of Thrones with the doves and pigeons and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, like I said, internet has internet has actually been around since the 60s when it was created by the American military um, through DARPA, and it was originally called ARPANET. And originally, it was only used in like for scientific and governmental use up until like the 80s, and that's when people it was commercially used. Email was invented in the 70s, and so like I said, the only thing you could do on internet back in the 80s and up until 94 was the Usenet groups and email. Thanks for subscribing, Kai. Please come back to my live streams. They're usually earlier than this though, but I just decided to do this because I had a late night run and I still had a lot of energy. So I wanted to, kind of wind down. And since I didn't do a live stream earlier, I wanted to make sure I was able to do a live stream. But yeah, it will really help if people like the video, subscribe, hit notifications, and share. Um, and also, if people want to financially support the channel, I do have a link in the description where you can buy me a coffee. I've had several people last week buy me a coffee as well as send me cash apps. The cash app is also in the link, and so is my Venmo. But yeah, usually the cash app and the buy me a coffee is great. And I literally do drink coffee all the time, just not at nighttime like it is now. But it helps a lot. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it. And I do want to hear some more of these SEAL stories. Well, the stuff that you can talk about, of course. I know a lot of stuff you can't talk about, but definitely interested in knowing more about people who went SEAL and what SEAL team you did. Um, and it's great talking to military brothers. I had a whole thing last week, um, 2 weeks ago, when I talked about um, we did stuff like on Armed Forces Day and on Memorial Day as well. So that was good. But all right, guys, I'ma call it a night. It's 2:17 in the morning here in Maryland. So I'ma go. I'll be back tomorrow a little bit earlier, and I'll have a topic. Usually have a topic every day, but Sundays I usually keep it like open just to talk about anything. So again, I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate all my military brothers out there again. Um, and I'll be back tomorrow or later today, whichever you want to call it. Thanks, guys. Thanks again. Appreciate it.